This is Ben Summer. I own and operate bandsLikeRush.com, a music discovery podcast and blog featuring up-and-coming progressive rock bands. Enjoy this video edition of the podcast and check out my own music. Visit my website at bensummer.com. If you sign up for the email list, you'll get 3 free downloads. Heavy Glow is a power rock trio from San Diego. I talked with their guitarist, lead singer, and primary songwriter Jared Mullins this week. As a musician myself, approaching age 40, I'm always impressed and more than a bit jealous when I speak to young Turks like Jared, guys who seem to have all their ducks in a row career-wise and are just driven and focused on succeeding in music. My cop-out is usually that I have a family to support. I can't force them to squeak by just on ramen noodles and Salvation Army clothes just so I can screw around my hours on my music career. But talking to young guys like Jared occasionally with this podcast is a really good antidote to that frankly crappy attitude I have sometimes. It helps jolt me out of my complacency. So anyway, I really like the band's music, Heavy Glow. It's a slightly edgy sound, but mainstream enough to not require too many listens to really get into it. And they have an absolute similarity to early Rush music. In fact, I describe the band more as a Cream crossed with early Rush circa Fly By Night, except with a baritone blues singer instead of the wail of Geddy Lee. We hear 2 tracks from the band's last album, their self-titled Heavy Glow, called Grinning in the Dark and Trailin' St. Judas Blues. I'm here with Jared Mullins, the lead guitarist and singer for the band Heavy Glow. And this is bandsLikeRush.com. Jared, why don't you just say hi and to give us a brief intro to fans who don't know of your work, what the band's all about, what you're up to, etc.
Yeah, definitely. Heavy Glow is a new rock band with classic rock vibes, very similar to bands you'd hear like Rush and Cream and all those good guys. So based in sunny California.
San Diego, right?
Yep.
Cool. So tell us a little bit more about your music, your approach to recording, where you are in your career. Last time, but a clue into the people who are listening to this, Jared and I talked last week, and I totally screwed up my computer setup and lost the recording. And so he and I are trying to relive this great conversation we had last week. So that's why we may be kind of giggling to each other. I seem to remember you, Jared, telling me a bit about how you got an interesting experience you had recording your last album with a famous producer, and then we also talked a lot about your approach to promoting. So if you want to hit any of those in any kind of order.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll just ramble, and if I ramble, too much, just let me know. But yeah, Heavy Glow is a new band. We put out 2 EPs. The first one we recorded in 2009. And actually recorded it with Stevie Salas, who's kind of my mentor. Stevie's well known for working with basically everybody in the business. He's first and foremost a guitarist. When Stevie was, I don't know, it was like 18 or something. He was up at working at a record label up in Los Angeles. Fell asleep on the couch, and George Clinton wakes him up and says, "Hey, I hear you can play some funk guitar," and that was basically what started him off. So he played with George Clinton for a while. He played with Rod Stewart. When Mick Jagger went on his solo tours, he decided, to have Stevie be his, Keith Richards back, substitute or whatnot. So we actually worked with him, went up to Velvet Revolver studio, and basically just banged out a 6-song EP in 4 days. Recorded it old school, the way that I like it. Everybody's set up in the same room live, guitars, bass, drums, and then did some vocal overdubs and all that kind of stuff. Just recorded another EP. I guess I didn't just do it, but it was about a year ago actually. That came out. We did that in 1 day with the same kind of setup where it just the whole band's in one room and everything's mic'd the way it needs to be, and we're just really going for that that a very real, authentic vibe from the music, and I think it goes well with the style of music that we have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you guys are a power that's a stupid term, but power trio. You got the style is there's no fuss or frills, so it's and bands that have nothing to do with you, but like early Rush before they got into the the additions to synthesizers and other different instruments, but recent bands like Green Day, which has nothing. Well, I don't know, maybe there's a bit of a similarity between your styles, but I always envy those small tight trio bands or quartets who their music, whether it's live or recorded, is the same. It's simple. They kind of avoid. It's almost like you guys consciously have to avoid all the neat tricks and sonic gizmos you can bring into the studio to experiment with your sound and do something big to keep it simple. And I'm sure, and that allows you to go through recording a whole album in 1 day. Allows you to play it all live with just maybe vocal overdubs. Then it also allows you to recreate the exact same experience live. Is that a conscious thing with you, or what?
Yeah, I mean, part of it's forced. We're poor musicians, so we can't afford the biggest producer that's working with, I don't know, Coldplay or somebody like that. And I don't even know that I would want that really. I'm really happy with this. With the stuff that we put out. I think it translates well. I was even listening to, I'm probably not even supposed to talk about it, but I was listening to Nirvana last night, and even Ryan Adams yesterday, and I think the best music is the kind of music where if you listen to it immediately, you can't help but feel something. Even, listening to Nirvana, there's not really much changes. I mean, they're a 3-piece, the bassist isn't really that good, the drumming's okay. I never really thought Dave Grohl was that awesome a drummer until he was just stuff, but the songs are pretty much always the same. It's the power chord bit, but it always something about the way it's sung or whatnot. It just gets you when you listen to it. So
I know what you mean. I feel the exact same. I mean, Kurt Cobain was a wretched guitarist. He's kind of like an updated version of Neil Young. But yeah, I agree. The music odd almost. But yeah, I liked it. But one when you said you don't have a lot of money for a lot of producers, a big time producer, blah blah blah. Well, that doesn't mean you need to limit yourself in the studio. I and others, we play a lot of different instruments. We do use various creative, synthesizing type approaches. So I mean, you could do that with the same budget. Why don't you? Because you're just not interested in the style.
I could, but I mean, I don't know what I listen to that has synth in it already. You know what I mean? I don't know that anything I've really gotten into has that in it, and I don't really consider it like an option for me, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Or, I mean, keyboards. I mean, that's another thing. I don't do synths too much, but keyboards, or, you can play ukulele. Or you could even layer the vocals in a thicker way than you do currently. I mean, from my ear, when I listen to music, I don't hear too much over-the-top vocal harmony.
Yeah, exactly. I think the first EP had it more than the second one. I don't think the second one has anything. But we're actually midway through recording an album now, and we're using very tasteful keyboard and Hammond organ, that kind of stuff, and doing some vocals and stuff too. So
cool.
Vocals and stuff. So it's a little bit different, but I don't know, for some reason I get the skids whenever anybody says synthesizer. I just think 80s for some reason.
That's funny. Well, because the back then the synth meant a handful of usually cheesy sounds. That was the only sound that's what synth meant. Now synth means, for instance, I record with quote synth, but I use various plugins that sound exactly like a vintage Rhodes or a B3, or the really cool old vintage synths like the ARP, etc. Of course, you and I could probably name plenty of great classic rock songs with those instruments in them. So that's, it doesn't necessarily mean cheesy, although I understand the skeevy feeling you get when the word comes up.
Definitely. No, we're actually using a lot of I guess the word's weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
We've got some parts in the new album with a theremin in it. We've got some parts with kazoos. Actually, before you called me here, I was actually embarrassingly playing kazoo to some of the CDs that we have over here. So
you were practicing?
Exactly. It's hard.
Why did you have to practice kazoo?
It's got a very small sweet spot on it. It's really weird. But
that sounds like a line out of the next Spinal Tap. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it should be. So, and we're going to use some stylophone too, and things like that. So it should be fun.
Let's listen to a full cut from the band's last album. This is called "Grinning in the Dark."
I'm grinning in the dark, cigarette in hand, while all the ashes spark briefly as they land. It's a lie, I think I got it right this time. Her way too much, anyone can see. It's enough to make you cry, make you wanna scream. It's a lie, it's becoming very clear to me.